us, and we will be previewing today. It's the fantastic tea time kickoff on Saturday. It's Spurs versus Everton. Two of those teams that seem to hover in and around the attempt at gaining a top 4 place and always seem to fall short, really, to be perfectly honest. I'm delighted to say I'm joined today to preview this match by the one and only OLBG member, Supreme Extraordinaire, who puts loads of winners out for you to look. Just subscribe for the videos. We've got 3 out of 3 on one of the weekend previews. Gio Mackie. Hi, Gio.
Good evening, Sam.
Fantastic. Thank you for joining us, Gio. Just a quick run through. I'd love to get your thoughts very briefly on the start to each team season. We'll go with the home side first. That's logical. Spurs, impressed you? Not impressed you? Work in progress? What do we think?
Well, I would like to say work in progress, but they haven't really done much in the transfer market, so I don't think there's too much excuses there. They still look shaky at the back. Kane's not firing on all cylinders yet, but they're also looking for Berahino, aren't they, to provide that spark. So I think they'll get their man. The question is, will they get him in time for the game on Saturday?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Obviously, we've seen a lot of goings at Spurs this summer. Do you think that they've never recovered from the sale of Gareth Bale? They brought in that flurry of fantastic foreign talent. None of it really tended to settle that well. I think of the 7 that the money was spent on, only 2 remain at the club. Do you think that's still haunting them a bit?
Yeah, I think they had too much money almost. I think Baldini had too much cash to play with. He didn't really know what to do with it, so he tried to bring in the big players that would do that spark at White Hart Lane, but I think they lost their way a wee bit there. But hindsight's a beautiful thing, and for all we know, Lamela and Chadley and all that could have turned out to be the next best thing. I
mean, first this season, they seem to have been able to hold a game, take a lead, and then lose it within, it was mere seconds recently. Do you think they've got a soft underbelly that a team like Everton, who will probably come and play counter-attacking football, can expose?
Definitely. But the problem is, if you look at their past head-to-heads, I think Everton have failed to score against Spurs quite a few times recently. But there's something about Spurs I don't like defensively, and I don't think their centre mid is as solid as it should be for a team that's trying to get into the top 4.
No, interesting point. Well, let's move on to Everton. A team, I suppose, they could be losing potentially, not quite their Gareth Bale, but a huge talent. Plenty being spoken about today when we're filming this, that John Stones has handed in his transfer request. He'll be unlikely to feature, surely, at this point now, Gio, if he still is at the club. Your concerns around Everton having just, 5 days to reinvest that money if he goes within the next week or so, plus everyone knowing that they've suddenly got money to burn, it can almost be a negative, can't it?
Well, they don't really have 5 days, though. They've known about this John Stones thing for a month now or something. The interest has always been there, and Mourinho and Chelsea do not give up when they want a player. It's very rare do they have concrete interest in a player and they do not eventually get him to Stamford Bridge. So I think if they don't have plans in place, I think they're very naive. I think they could blame themselves a wee bit. I'd be very surprised if, since that transfer request has gone in, they haven't already put numerous bids in for certain centre-backs, or at least put feelers out.
I hope for Everton fans they've got something lined up, because they're certainly going to need it. The game against Man City is probably never a fair yardstick to take a club out, because Man City at the moment are probably that bit better than most teams in the league. Just very briefly, Everton's start to the season. Has it impressed you? Bit of good, bad and ugly?
I think it's all 3 things, isn't it? The defeat last week against City was obviously the bad. The win at Southampton was the good. It was fantastic, that win. I was really, really impressed with them. Then they drew Watford on the opening day, which you could say was the ugly one, because I think it might have destroyed a few accumulators. But if you remember that show, I tipped Watford not to lose.
There we go. He has to get his plug in somewhere. Well, let's have a little look at the stats then. So the last 5 fixtures, this is the game being held at White Hart Lane. Spurs have won 3 and drawn 2. No Everton win, which is a little bit surprising when we come on to talk about what our OLBG members' early thoughts have been so far. Your average goals, these stats are around, we're going back to 2006, 2007 on these. We're looking at around 2.43 goals a game. So under 2.5 is generally around Bet365, BetVictor offering you 4 to 5, which Some people may consider value. I'd rather go overs than unders. That's a personal preference. You don't want to see your bet being done within the first 20 minutes. And there's been no penalties for a long time in this fixture, which is something a little bit odd. Gio, anything on that page? Your unders, are you thinking about unders or overs on the game like this? Obviously, Everton scoring 3 away from home recently.
I don't know. I wouldn't touch that market at all. It wouldn't surprise me either. Or if there was a game in the league this weekend that's 0-0, I wouldn't be surprised if it's at White Hart Lane. But at the same time, there's a game that just explodes and it's 4-4. It wouldn't surprise me if it was White Hart Lane. It just depends when the first goal comes, doesn't it? And also what strikers turn up for Tottenham.
No, that's a very good point. Obviously, Harry Kane has been rather battling onward, rather solo, and they're going to need someone. If it's not Mourinho, they're going to need someone. I suppose we'll move on now to the bets, because you like the look of one striker in this fixture, don't you, Gio?
Yeah, I was hugely impressed with him against Southampton, and I thought he did really well against Man City. He scored, was disallowed, rightly so, but he still got in the net, and those kind of things will still increase a striker's confidence. Even though it didn't count, he'll still went off that pitch knowing that he can still tuck the ball away. And I think 11-4 is a huge price for someone who's in quite good form. But the difference with this season is Everton are supplying him with quite good crosses as well, and that's important for a man like Lukaku. And I've already spoke about Tottenham's dodgy back four, so I expect him to be on the score sheet.
He's like a countryman, isn't he, Benteke? He has different elements of his game that make him really uncomfortable to mark. He can drop off, he can pick up a ball, he can head the ball, he's not afraid to have a shot outside the area. I think someone like Lukaku is a great bet for that kind of thing. If you like an away bet, you're going to get a better odds about any away striker as well. And an any time shout, Everton could be 2-0 down and still pick up the goal. But if Everton lose Lukaku, just very briefly, Gio, they're in for a difficult winter, aren't they? If they close the window and he picks up a knock, and he is a confidence player, there's no doubt about that. I take your point that he put the ball in the net and it didn't count, and you like that kind of thing. But as soon as he goes a couple of games without a goal, he's going to wobble, isn't he?
Yeah, but the difference with this season and last is there's Euro 2016, and his fellow countryman Christian Benteke is having a decent start to his Liverpool career. So if he wants to start in France, he needs to nail it.
No, we'll go on to this a little bit further on as we feature down towards the Euros. If you subscribe to us now, you get all the videos sent to you, but we'll be doing some anti-post stuff around that just after Christmas as well. Obviously, Gio, the members are surprising here. They're going for the away win. The stats say it's not possible, but around 3-1 with Paddy Power, Everton. Do we think that could be a value play?
With the transfer news the last couple of days, I would probably stay away from that. But members do tick up from, well, as soon as the game finishes at the weekend. So there's maybe some taking the early value in the hope that Stones remains at Everton and Berahino isn't at White Hart Lane. But if those two transfers do happen, that would put me off back in Everton. But 3-1's a huge price for a team that just won their last away game 3-0 at Southampton.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a massive price. I was a bit surprised. This isn't a Spurs team that have set the world alight either. I think they're quite average. And I don't think it would take an exceptional Everton side to get all 3 points, which is the sad truth about both teams' aspirations for the seasons. It'll be interesting. We're really going against Spurs here. I suspect that may come back to haunt us, but we shall see. Gio, just one thing quickly I want to ask you. One question on these two teams. Looking towards the end of the season, who finishes higher, Spurs or Everton?
Everton.
Everton?
Yeah.
Okay. Even if they lose their best centre-back and Spurs sign one of the best English talents to play up front?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think Everton. I really like them this season. But before you disappear, one bet I couldn't do. There's no card markets yet, but I like my referees. My referee was spot on last week with the cards. Mike Jones is the referee. In his last 10 games, he's dished out 38 yellows and 5 reds. So that's a red every 2 games. Gareth Barry has not picked up a yellow card this season yet. There's no way he's going to go a long period of time without a booking. Against Eriksen and Kane, he might pick one up this weekend. Also, I'd be looking at Vertonghen against Lukaku, who, of course, they're both Belgium, so he knows Lukaku inside out, and he'll know just how damaging he can be if you don't get a grip of him.
That's very interesting, Gio. So The members probably, or viewers of this show, want to look at around the over 3.5 cards if it gets anywhere near 4 to 5 even money.
Definitely, I'd be looking at the cards, and I'd be looking at, for me, there are 2 Spurs centre backs and Barry. It depends on their prices for any time bookings, but I'd be looking at the card market again.
Well, Gareth Barry hasn't had pace since sort of the mid-2000s, so he's definitely going to get caught out if he's up against anyone remotely fast. That's certainly an interesting bet for us. But just to recap, Gio's main bet is going to be Lukaku anytime, 11 to 4 Betway. And our members are tipping up Everton to get the away win, and it'll be a big away win for that. Gio, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate your time. Hopefully we pick some winners out. And it'll be a good game the Saturday tea time game, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Really looking forward to it. Hopefully we'll see goals, and hopefully our under 2.5 stat is rubbish. But here's for goals at White Hart Lane. Cheers, Sam.
No problem. Thank you, Gio. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, just hit subscribe. You'll get all the other Premier League previews that we offer. And we've got loads of different sports on there. Check out the channel, subscribe, and you'll get some great content. And hopefully we'll give you some winners.